Happy days, you guys. It sure is a cold one again down here in Key West. I'm in the evening time on a Saturday night, and it is cold and windy. But not as cold and windy as it is up there, I reckon, huh? In other places on the United States and all. Well, anyways, you're not going to get away with this. I was just want to know. No one ever talks hardly. I would say that not very many people do. When it comes down to, did you catch any of that in that last business? That love story, that business that I was talking about? Did you hear any? It's a sad story about that right side of our brain. Sit there waiting and waiting and waiting for people to wake up so she can fill you with all kinds of knowledge, help you with your health along the way. Help you, connect to the Lord, to this, to the source, stuff like that. Make you a Jew. We've read a couple of stories now in a row where we've dealt with meeting mom, and that she becomes this tree of life for those people that find it, and that she is for meat, she is for substance, and we find that that's the right side of the boat that we're supposed to toss our nets to. Just very beautifully written stories where each one keeps bringing you to this place inside of us, the way through the law of trying to maintain a balance of our cross between the right and the left sides of our brain, by honoring them in this way, by going through meditation, by what we have been taught through Jesus, by the single eye, bringing light into the person, right? And in all these wonderful stories, they talk about this business of returning home, all right? And the word green being grass, being plants, this is what that last little love story was about. She just never got there. They always came close, but it never happened, and that's how it works, And all the stories in the Old Testament, it's like, wah, wah. God has left the building. And they have. It always has. We can tell from our perspective, and I'm just believing that you guys, that a couple of you guys are even on the same kind of school of thought, that nobody is doing this. Nobody's fulfilling the law, and nobody is walking the way. And some people would even say, well, what are you doing? I think I've walked the way. I'm not thinking, I know I did. I walked away, I did what it said, some interesting things. But now kind of bestowed on me, and just mostly along the lines of being able to understand this stuff really well now, and it's always been a quest of mine. So anyway, maybe just getting my job, my request, But anyways, to want to teach you and stuff like that becomes this idea of what we consider a Nazarene could be. In our Bibles, they were saying that it had to come from a prophecy to be fulfilled, and it's not anywhere in the Old Testament. No place, nowhere, no how. But what they can perhaps narrow it down to is a cluster of towns, like an area, or a group of people, group of towns or citizens in a particular way that had a train or a particular, mode of thinking, which they live by. And, it had to do with wisdom. It had to do with the separation. It had a whole nother way of living, which is this perhaps Buddhist wisdom, which is what we get baptism from in the rapture, and where we get this going inside. But anyways, this would have been a sect of people that had a particular belief system, and this is where it came from. And it didn't have any organization to it at all, like these other religions, and it was more along the lines of pagan. It but they were called this because it would have been a combination of all these religions, is what they would say, that would make them into this. You know, you're not the only ones that can connect with God. Saying this right out to the Jewish people, which rejected Jesus, right? Well, they reject the way, they reject the law, they rejected Moses. They just all believe that they're already connected. They already believe that they have this connection to him, and they just read these things, and this is it, they're the best, and all that. But it just doesn't work that way. In the book, Jew is called someone who is inwardly, not someone who is outwardly. And these people have been acting outwardly, which is why the Bible shows the Jewish people, the Jewish faith, as being godless and devilish and run by Baal. And it is, how can it get any clearer than that, And then on the Christianity side, he comes in, he says, this is the New Testament is like the Old Testament, but it's flowered, it's blooming, and Jesus has this love thy neighbor like you would love thyself with your whole mind and your whole heart, so, that substituting mother and father, honoring thy mother and father, it's the same thing. These are the same thing, same outcome, because nobody does it. Everybody's reading everything by the letter, and killing each other and dying for this and all of that, and taking money, filling their pockets full of money from lies about God. It's all blasphemous. It's just crazy. But they've been doing that for thousands of years, and so now that makes it true, and that's tradition. Wow, isn't that great? It's a shame. But anyway, so when you find out that it really was about this idea that's the only difference that Jesus would bring into the scene here. They called him this Nazarene. They made like, what? He's a Nazarene. He's from Nazarene. What could he bring? What could he do? Well, he was an outsider. He brought this idea to life to figure out some way that you don't have to be a part of these control groups, that you can be free of them. Since his father is free of these things, who is he telling them about their God? He says, well, it's my God, it's my father, it's the same guy, all these the same things, he says, it's my God. But anyways, what happens is we have this wonderful little story about Jesus's birth, and it just came up, and now we have the three kings that came to give him things. And what did they give him? These are the three kings, They came and brought him gold, right? This is gold for his head. That's what it would be. Frankincense and myrrh. Frankincense. This is when things come in three. That's Israel. So you have gold, which would be it's a physical representation, and the frankincense and myrrh. Now these here are spiritual aspects. So that would be the female coming into play, and then being all together one would be the myrrh. So it's always a 1, 2, 3 situation, and it's an inside outside situation. Frankincense and myrrh. And in the last story, she was just dripping with myrrh. She's just, and she was, and her man was coming. She could smell him, with all those spices. It's just, we're looked at as plants, trees, things like that. Green it comes into play here. So what I did is I went to one of those, Hebrew websites and stuff like that to go and see what these words mean. And I did take a course in high school called semantics, and taught you a lot about word breakdowns and stuff like that. It's funny, someone with my conversations going to semantics, but I did learn something about words, how to figure them out. Like I used to hear that Nazar meant alien, meant a loner, something like that, and separated, So the word that still sticks in me is that he's separated, is that they don't have to be in a group, and they've made this big religion in his name, and they all have to come together as a group. And he's really saying, you just have to do it all by yourself. You don't need it in that stuff. But before we get into that, we're going to talk about this Torah. This Torah, it talks about which causes all the trouble in their group. Israel is supposed to maintain itself as a holy place, and it's supposed to be separate from the Canaanites. And so after that, everyone that wasn't a Jew is this Canaanite. And we're just going to call them, those are the Gentiles. And that's the way they've been treating everyone that is not part of their group. That's a whole lot of people. And so these guys are the chosen ones. And we know that they're not. We know that they're not just because they carry that name Jew. They're carrying it on their outsides. They're not carrying it on the inside. It means that they are not following the law. But that does open up the word, the Jew, to anyone on earth. Anyone. Any religion on earth that requires them to, evoke the single eye, do the dirty snake dance. All right. So anyways, this idea of Jews is someone that is connected to God, and Gentiles are those that aren't. So what have we learned, our little channel here? We've learned that maybe over 90%, or I just would like to turn all the lights off on this world, that at least maybe 90% of the whole world, is not following the law, not going the way. That's an awful lot of darkness. That makes an awful lot of Gentiles and not a whole lot of Jews. Do you understand? Believers and non-believers is a big race where they're chasing around each other's tails and they get nowhere. They're all in the same boat together. It's just a shame. Just a shame. But anyways, what we get out of Nazarene is they started pulling all this apart. And it says Nazar means to consecrate. And let me tell you, every little letter means something in this writings. Nazar, that's with a Z, means to consecrate. With a S is to be watchful or to be green. And remember, green is to be refreshing. Remember, he's going to come down. I'm going to chop that tree down to the root. We're not going to kill it. We'll just have it regrow. This time it'll be, we'll be taking care of it. We're always treated as some kind of a plant. And the last one with the garden, when the lilies of the valley, and a rose is Sharon. This is it's just plants. It's beautiful. It's nature. All right. So, anyways, what do we have here? So, branches, fig trees. Here we are. It says Zara, Z-A-R-A, to scatter or to winnow. And then and it has a double meaning. It says to scatter or to sow. So even within this, to winnow something is to, beat something in some way that, all the garbage is, removed from it. That's, what would that be? Spare the rod, spoil the child. So you got to beat the buck out of your kids so that you can get some good out of it. But that's what they're talking about. It's also that by his stripes we are healed. All right. Doesn't mean any of those things actually happened. Okay. So what do we get? We got this sowing with salt. People used to sow with salt. They said, and this is, if you have salt, that means nothing will ever grow. So this is basically that idea of, taking religion on, and then you're dead. That's the salt, taking on the salt. All right. And it says here, and there's also sowing for justice. So this whole thing is has two ways. It can It can clean you. Can save you, but it can also beat you. All right. So this is really interesting because this is that number 7 that we're talking about. This is what number 7 is all about. You are going to either be smited and have terrible things happen, or it's a day of rest. All right. Where everything is just, thank God and beautiful. All right. Mercy. So what it is it's a sowing of salt, just sowing. Just think about sowing because this is in the name Nazarene. All right. And here it is part Jesus telling stories about sowing seeds. And he talks about, by the wayside, those that just sprung up on rocks, those that come into the thorns, and those that make it onto, safe ground, and happy space, then this is about learning the word. And you're the word. Once you've realized that it's talking about your insides and how to get home, that you become the word. All right. You're the seed sower, because through your tilling of the field, you create this, through meditation, you plant this child that climbs up this stalk, gets the gold, connects mother and father together, become one. So this is the gold, the frankincense, the myrrh. How does this go about? It says here this is the noun. The male side of this is Zera. It's called a sowing. It's a seed, the sperm, about you can create life or you can destroy it. But this is the other place. It says, because it's in doubled, it says, what is sown? The root of this is some verb. It's a Zara. It means to extend or to stretch out the arm. I wonder where we get that from. Should I repeat that? Can I? Well, it goes like this. It says, this is the root of this here. It's a verb, and it's spelled with a Zara. And it means to extend or to stretch out the arm. Now, the noun on the other side of this is Zeroa, which basically means arm, and is as the seat of human strength, instrument of deliverance, and judgment. Stretch out, Moses tell Aaron to stretch out his arms and smite this. Moses tell Aaron to take his staff, strike it, listen. This is what all of this is. Stretch out thy arm. This is Jesus, dude. Jesus had the heel in the hand. So it also has the word, also about scattering. This idea of sowing seeds is also along the lines of scattering. And so remember, he's going to eventually scatter these people amongst all the nations. Remember that, And what that means is that if you don't get God, if you don't get the Lord, what's going to scatter you is that you're going to be lost out there amongst the rest of the world who's also dead. Lost is dead. You're gone. You're disconnected, Let's see, the winnowed mountains. They talked about even Israel was going to be winnowed. That means cut down. It's cut down. Certainly cut down. Zara is the root verb. It means to scatter or winnow. Zara yields produce and offspring. Zara is removes debris. So it can bring something alive or take something out. All right, and we understand that about number 7. It's going to take something out. It can feed you. It can be this idea of winnowing when 7 comes around. This is, hey, send something out to eat to take things away from you. This is the thief coming in. Winnowing. Wong, wong, wong. Let's see. You'll be scattered amongst the nations and returned. So here they are. They spite you. You have all this trouble going on. And then what does he do when it comes down to tip number 8? He restores you, brings everything back together again. Isn't that something? So, and it's all within that same arm. All right. Remember that arm is connected to the works. All right. Well, what they found was that whenever they took apart the name Mary Magdalene, they found that Magdalene, the word Magdalene, actually establishes her as some kind of, in the wisdom cult, so wisdom thoughts of consciousness. All right, and this was when she becomes Mary the Nazarene. All right. It's a non-centralized and non-formalized worlds of the subconscious. When intuition finds its footholds and dreams may come. This is how they wrote this definition. It sounds kind of pretty, but it's showing her of this ether realm that this female winds up being, part of the subconscious. All right. But they want to make her out to be real, so they say, "Oh, that she was from this group of people who felt this way." But listen, that's the same group of people that we consider the Nazarene. All right, so Nazara is the way they used to call it, Nazareth. That's how they said it in all these old Bible texts. It says, and the Lord submits, "I am for you, and I will turn to you, and you will be cultivated and sown." This is Ezekiel number 36:9. All right. So this is a positive thing when Jesus comes out and catches you, or God comes and sows you. The whole sickling, all that business, and you think God or the devil's going to come and reap you and stuff like that. The reaping is a good thing. All of these things that are negative to the outside of the Bible is a beautiful thing that goes on the inside of us. It's 36. That's 6, 7, 8, 9. This is a double 9, a double whammy. Good night, you guys. That's what that meant. I am for you, and I will turn you, and I will turn to you, and you will be cultivated and sown. Well, sow me up, baby. I'm ready. I'm gone. I'm gone. Fill my sack all the way up to my neck with good food. All right. Put that silver chalice right there in my mouth. That's talking symbolically. They already, let's see. So Nazareth doesn't become a town, a name of a place, but it may become some group of place, some group of people, and some cluster of towns that carry on this particular belief. Let me tell you, they were certainly killed. If this was real, or if they had this real stuff going down, the true followers of Jesus, I'm going to tell you that they'd been killed and wiped off the face of this earth, so that the Catholic religion could, usurp it and make it into something else. All right. Let's see. Wisdom. Let's see. Things. This is about the idea of things being scattered. It's wisdom from other nations and traditions. Remember, you'll be given wisdom from all the nations. And it says, the wealth of the nations shall come to you. And it says, will bring gold and frankincense. Let's see. That's really the two mom. That's mom, because mom becomes like the frankincense becomes a spice, of incense. So this is what incense is. How incense shows up in these books as the Spirit, the Holy Ghost. All right. what stood out with Jesus and his followers, we already figured that out. And, it's all about schools of thoughts and stuff like that. The Nazarenes are believers in healers. They're the ones that say, physician, heal thyself, and these situations like that. It says here that, a true Nazarene is one that listens and learns. He grows, loves, serves, and shares. We look forward to a world without temples. I do. I look forward to a time when there'll be no temples, no religion, and stuff like that. Uh, they said that people like us would have some kind of great respect. And we have an unbridled generosity, and we have a wide-eyed interest in everything, clarity of vision, and unshakable willingness to die rather than to loud deceit. Well, I'm not going to die, but I am about tired of all these lies and everything. And that's what this whole way is about. It's supposed to get some knowledge in your head. I don't know what to do with it once you got it, but I tell you what, it sure has taken a lot of weight off my shoulders, and I just enjoy life now. I just think it's so cool. I planted a garden and a vineyard and all. I have grapevine coming in the mail. I'm going to show you I'm going to give you a video of my garden, but I'm going to wait till it gets a little prettier, Right now it's cold. I made some seeds and started out some of the seeds, and they won't come alive in this cold weather. So I have them in my room, I have them underneath underneath the desk in there with a lamp on top of them, just a simple old lamp. But I don't want them to go to pot already, damn it. So anyways, what I was hoping you guys would understand is, that just every time I open my mouth about the Bible, it's always about this mom and dad thing. It's always about the way. It's always about that thing about our arms, our kundalini. I'm always repeating myself, but with a different story each time. Am I making this up? Can this be one of these things that I'm just fitting it in here, like a circle going into a square, a hole, or something like that? I, I, I beg someone to tell me that it's not. That they can show me that the code is bogus. That it doesn't mean anything at all, and that even the name Nazarene and what it all has to represent, and what we have learned from both Moses and by way of the Bible, the New Testament's Jesus, through stories of Krishna and the Buddha. And if you ever spend any time listening to the Tao, I'll tell you, I just absolutely love listening to it while I'm painting. I'm going to turn it on tomorrow. I got a deadline and a big painting I have to finish. But no, there's only two types of people, Jews and Gentiles in the world. And my message goes out to Gentiles that, it doesn't take very much. No money, no nothing. Don't cost you nothing. But there's a good chance that you can become this Jew that the Lord's been asking from you by just, sitting down in a dark place somewhere so that the pineal gland can come to life. You have to really want to with all your heart to do this, but, if you can't do it, it's just not your time yet. It's just not meant, There's a darkness that's on this world, and only a few people are allowed lights. And I hate to think that I'm the only one that's allowed to get it, and I'm the only one that people can hear. Wah wah, wah wah, wah wah, wah. But I see it, feel it. I'm living it. I have this light. I have whatever they've been doing, and changed me in any way. Ain't turned me into no monster or nothing like that. I just, would like to think that there'd be other people out there that would like to know the real life truth in a world that doesn't, there ain't no room for it. Even the people that are telling the truth that hid it from you. And here I am just coming right out with it. I don't even know if it's legal or not, on either side of the fence. But, they want me to get up on a mountain. I'm going to shout it off on the mountain, hey, this is how you can become a clean spirit. This is how you can come alive. This is how you change from being spiritually dead and a widow into someone that's alive, and supposed to be for the living, not for the dead people. So, I'm just a messenger like this Jesus guy would have been. You don't get mad at him. You don't get mad. You don't want to kill him because he doesn't follow along on the same track that you follow along. Not everyone desires to be led off into the darkness and off of a cliff. Some people would rather watch a whole bunch of other people do that. You know, you know, if the cliff fits, jump it. Good night. But it's just the way it works, and if that's the way that the Lord wanted it, the good Lord, then that's the way it is. Look at, I still only have a few people, and it's the way we want it. It's nice. When people leave, come and go as they wish. But, you can see that this channel's not supported. I'm not even getting in any trouble for saying terrible things about Islam. I'm not getting in any trouble for saying anything about those any of these religions that they wish that people would have some tolerance to, in the new politically correct business. But, I think that only because I have, this Bible, which has been around for thousands of years, which I didn't write, but which I discovered some wonderful things and learned how to read it and how to procure the information and what is correct in the Bible, and use it totally all by itself to discredit all the others. It's the Bible itself is the evidence, when read correctly, against all of these outside forces that reign and control over this world. It is like the absolute coolest goddamn thing on earth. And of course, no one's going to complain. No one's even going to hardly hear this, Even long after I'm dead, it'll be like erased in some way. But I'm giving you the shit, giving you the cool stuff. This is just what YouTube was designed for. Original content. But this is not the kind of content that you're going to make any money off of. And so, therefore, it's just, hey, wonderful job. I'll give you an A plus for that original shit, man. It's even better that you can, back it up, And I have over 300 different videos, and it shows me growing from, believing and thinking away and then eventually growing into having more knowledge. But that's the way this thing goes, this information is that it grows every day. There's more and more as this child within you grows with you as you grow. And like they said, the outside body dies one time, and then but the inside is reborn over and over and over and over every day. And it's a cool thing. So come on aboard, Brother Nazarene, to those people that want to be a Nazarene. It doesn't make you anything better or worse or anything, but it does kind of put you on the edge of light where you're actually, helping in the world, But there's plenty of those darkies and dead people running around. There's plenty of those, Some of my best friends are dead. Absolutely, and I love them just the same. I do. I really do. It's just not easy, to tell them, I see dead people. All right, you guys. So, Three Kings Day. I think that's what this is. Or we're getting into that point where, kings are finally arriving. But you're going to tell you about those kings, those guys, the Magi, following the stars. They're Persian. somehow or another, these Persians are responsible for everything. You know, that you've already heard me say, about some Persian kings and Persians, this and that. They all started the Jews along their way. Got their words, the basically cut and pasted their little religion together. This is Ezra and the Persian kings. All right, Cyrus and all those guys, and Artaxerxes and things like that. These guys have nothing to do with Christianity. Had nothing. They hadn't even been around. They were more like Zoroastrians and stuff like that. They had a something Zoro Mazda, some kind of car. But that was their God, and their God was credited with bringing all this business, rebuilding the temple and repurposing these rock gatherers, and they still got it together. But if they were ever found working on the Sabbath, which may have been sixth, who knows what they said it is? Their Sabbath, it's the seventh day and sixth day. They killed people. So they didn't follow. Whenever they came down, these people said they were connected to God right off the bat. Never were ever even connected. You just are not connected. That's not how it works. The Bible tells us so. Even Moses has to show them how to do it. God shows him how to do it. Remember when he was supposed to put his hand in his chest? Remember that? Freaked him out, and he told him toss your staff on the ground and turn into a snake and stuff like that. There's all talking about this Kundalini energy inside of us. All right, well, that's enough for tonight. It's Saturday night. Go enjoy yourselves. All right, and go out there and clean out the inside your bodies. Teach someone about it. We need more people to help. Best to you all. Love you.